Welcome, my name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our second card for this week's stamp set of the week, Cake Day. And today we are focusing on the beautiful dies. There are 23 in total that match along or help to create a beautiful cake to match along with the stamps that we saw on Monday. So let's open these dies. Oh, there's one come flying out. So we can have a look at them. As you can see, they are 23 in total. There are many, many dies here. Some of them are duplicates like these two here, and these, and these, and these, which helps to create, oh, see these two, oh, there's three of those ones, which help to create the card quicker. It's always handy to have more than one of things. But let's show you the card first, and then we will bring the dies into play. So this is the card we're going to create. It is a cake. It's got a happy birthday banner. You've got candles. You've got macaroons. You've got little shells. You've got beautiful decoration. So it literally, this card is all about this slice of cake. So let's bring in the supplies. So the first thing I have got, she says, trying to pick it up, is my bubble bath. Now this is 8 inches by 5 3/4, where I've scored at 4 inches. I have Gorgeous Grape, which is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And I have 2 pieces, one for inside and one for outside, of Whisper White or Basic White, which is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. You will also need lots of scraps of paper to cut out your die pieces. So let me show you those while we go along. So bringing back the dies, this piece here is the biggest piece, the biggest die, and this creates the cake. So the cake comes out like this. You run it through flat and it comes out like that. Okay. Now what you need to know is you need to make sure that the rounded corner is at the top and the pointy end is at the bottom. And I'll show you why for 2 seconds. Let's put that back into place. Put it that way. Okay. Because when you use this die to cut out the icing, and I've chosen chocolate icing, if you do it that way, it don't fit. So simply tip it over and try it that way. Okay, and that gives you the cake icing. So that's this beautiful die here. So you've got the die for the cake, the die for the icing. Then if you want to have the effect where the icing is dripping down, this is the little gadget you're going to need. So take your chocolate or your whatever color icing and lay it on the top and run it through your die machine. And it comes out looking like that. So now you've got your icing dripping down the page. Okay, so that's those 2 or 3. So the next thing we've got is I've created a white flag using this die. So it's quite a simple die. And you can put the Let's Celebrate, you can put the Congrats, and the Happy Birthday on there. Actually, you may not be able to. It might just be the Happy Birthday and the Congrats because it's quite a small flag. But you do have a larger die here for you to do Let's Celebrate and Make a Wish. Okay, so let's put that one up there, put that across. So we have 2 of these. Now these make the macaroons, she says, trying to pick them up. So these little gadgets make the macaroons, and they come out looking like this. Now I needed 3, so obviously I had to run that through more than once. And you'll notice that you've got like this little bit here that tips. It's not broken, trust me. I'm going to put the cream in the middle. So to create the cream, you need these gadgets. Now these are really, really tiny. Can you see how small they are? They're very, very thin. There are 2 of them. Whoops, she said, throwing it across the room. There are 2 of them. Okay. And these cut out these, and they have to say they look like little moustaches. but it's the beveled edge that you need to create the cream to go inside our macaroons, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So we've also got 2 of these. Now these cut out your little icing nobules. It's a new word for caking. Caking, oh, another new word today. Another new word for the cake. And they create these, and they give you those, let's put that down. They give you these little beveled edges that you can move in and out. So if you wanted to, you could, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, you could slip them in there if you wanted to. Okay. Right, so that's those 3. Then also I have used this little gadget over here. Now this is the candle. It cuts out 3 candles at a time, and it also gives you the little wick at the top, which is these. Now I've done these in Bubble Bath. So you can have these. I'm trying to pick this one up and it doesn't want to come. There we go. You can have these as just candles as their own, or you could use the candle bases, which are these little dies. Okay. And that gives you these 3 candles. Oops. These candles are a lot longer, a lot taller than the ones with the wick. Okay, and I'll show you how to get around that in a moment. So they are all the dies that we're going to use, but as you can see, there's still quite a few left. Take those out. There's still quite a few left that you can use. Right, so let's bring in our cake first of all. Let's push you along, and we're going to do our stamping. So this is the top of our cake because it's got the round. You want to double check, just make sure your chocolate fits, which it does. Now I want to do layers on the cake. So like we did on Monday's card, I've got the layers to create, and I'm using Gorgeous Grape for that. So I'm literally, there we go. Let's just make sure that comes out. Perfect. And I'm going to tilt it slightly because the cake is going to go, chocolate's going to go there. So you sort of want it to go like that. So I'm just going to tilt it once. And again, so it's very similar to what we did on Monday's card. Okay, so you've got your layers of your cake. Then I'm bringing in the sprinkles. This is in Bubble Bath. I'm just going to go over. Just bring all the sprinkles down. You could, if you wanted to, do different flavors or colors. There we go. But I'm just focusing on the Bubble Bath for that. Now I've got Make-A-Wish, and I'm going to pop that in the middle of my cake, and I'm going to stamp that up in the Blackberry Bliss. This will bring in the colour of the candles as well. So let's stamp that. There we go. And I'm going to pop that just there. Make-A-Wish. Keeping the Blackberry Bliss out, I'm going to stamp the Happy Birthday on my flag. Right, now everything is stamped and cut. We can put it together. So you've got 2 options. You can leave the cake like that, and you can put it on your base. She says picking it up. Put it on your base like that, and then it can open if you want it to. But I have actually got macaroons at the base of mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to cut along this line. Okay. And cut off the back that I'm not going to use. There we are. So that is my cake. But of course the chocolate will go over the edge, and so we won't have any issues of ragged edges. Okay, so there is the cover up. So I'm just going to put glue on this bit. Now, if you wanted to, you could use sprinkles. You don't have to use the glue. I'm trying to put glue on that. Let's move that out of the way. Right, so you could use the sprinkles and the lining to go over your cake base should you wish to. You don't have to use the dies. There is that option. Okay, so let's pop that into place. There we go. And across. I want to make sure that the edging doesn't show. Okay, there we are. Because we've got a ragged edge here, it doesn't matter if it doesn't reach the bottom. Okay, I mean, obviously you could cut it up higher, you could have put sprinkles underneath. There's lots of options. Right, so the best thing to do now is to turn this over and add our dimensionals. When we're adding our dimensionals, I want to take into consideration that I am going to put candles behind it. Now, the candles are going to go up here. So I'm looking at putting a dimensional there. Whoops, I'm taking the back off of that one. And not putting another dimensional until we get to there. So that there is room for my candles. Okay. And then you can just add your dimensionals as you wish. You can put one in the corners, like so. I'll probably put one on the end. I'm being a little bit more overzealous with the dimensionals because I need it to stand up and not just flag in the middle. It's quite a big, she forgot about that bit. It's not quite a big, it's quite a big area to cover. So the next thing to do is to bring in our white piece and add our, roughly work out where you're going to go. Then you can take your dots, your backs off. So you thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? I had really. Because the other one had glued itself down. I was like, oh, I've done that already. Okay. Let's put that over. There. Okay. Now we can add our candles. So the options are, you could put your candles like this, slide them down, 2, 3, there we go. Or, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to bring in these 3. Now, oh, for goodness sake, my nails have got too long. They're going to be cut very soon. Oh, it won't be an issue. Right, okay, so this will now layer over the top of the candle. So I'm just going to run a tiny bit of glue down my candle, like so. And then I'm going to pop it over the top of my other candle. Okay. So I'm getting the wick, which is that tiny bit up there, to hang over the edge. All right. So there's one. Let's do the other 2. The top again, just pinching and then holding. Okay, that's number 2, and then again the same with 3. Just trying not to get too much glue on my fingers. Okay, so let's zip that up a bit. There we go. Perfect. Right, so the thing to do now, hold that one down so it glues. What I like to do is I'm going to put glue on the base of this bit, just down here. Okay, like so. Because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it down and hold it into place. That's one. Do the same with the other one. 2. And then the next one. I mean, you could put your glue all the way out the top if you wanted to. Goes into there. So now you've got your 3 candles and you can move them around to the right height. Holding that down, give it a little firm push. There we go. So now we can add our icing swirls. We're going to call them icing swirls. 1, she says, trying to pick them up. 2, and then 3 will go onto there, like so. So these 2 stick down with glue. In fact, you probably stick all 3 down. Excuse me. So I'm just going to run a little bit of glue over them, like that. So the first one will go there. Hold it for a second. Then you've got the second one. Again, you can just add your glue to the bottom. Oh, there's Bootsy. We've got an aeroplane. Oh, and Bella in the other room. Just had an aeroplane fly over. So the dogs are going mad and my son's trying to keep them quiet. There we go. Right, and then the third one, we're just going to add there. There we go, over the top, just like that. So now we have got our 3 icing bobules. Now, these are for the macaroons. So with the macaroons, take the 3 bases and the 3 insides. I'm going to use my pointy tool. There it is. What you're going to do is, that lifts up. You're going to take your flavouring of macaroon and you're going to slide it in, making sure that the beveled edge is the edge that is on the outside, like so. So it's quite quick and easy once you've done it. To hold it into place, you can use a glue dot. So let's grab a glue dot, she says. Oh, there it is. So pick this one up. Boots is one of those dogs that just likes to carry on going. Even though the disaster has happened, she still feels that she must tell everybody about it. Okay, so there is your macaroon created. So if you can still hear her barking in the background, apologies. Right, so let's do that one into there. So again, push it through. It comes through the back. Make sure you're happy with its positioning. And then you can hold it down with a glue dot. There we go. Okay. And then the last one is this one. She's just growling left, right and centre. My poor son is just thinking, oh no, mum's doing a video. I've really got to keep this dog quiet. It's a problem when you've got a tiny house. There we go. Right. Oh, hello. There we go. So now we have our 3 macaroons have been completed. They can now be put on the bottom of your cake. So I am going to go 1 here. I'm going to work it out. 1 here. I don't want to stick it down too much because I don't want it to. 2. And then that one will go probably over the top, like so. Right, so let's glue these 2 down. You've got your glue dot, but you can still use a bit of glue because obviously you want to keep everything in place. Okay, so that will go there. Then wriggle that one out a bit. Get that bit of glue. Right, next bit we will add. There we go. Come on, glue. Don't want to put too much and then you don't want too little, do you? And that one will go there. And then I'm going to pop a dimensional on the base of this one. So it's going to go there. And that way I can put it on the bottom of the card down here. And it can just rest on the top. So the only thing left to do now is to add our happy birthday. Okay, so you can, my happy birthday is going to go there. So I'm going to add a small dimensional onto there, take the back off, poke this one down into place. There we are, and then your dimensional will hold that down. So the only thing left now to do is to layer your card up. So we're going to use our glue over the back of this, pop it down onto our gorgeous grape. She says, trying to doing it, that's it. Straight is always a good look, I find. Then we can burnish our card with my bone folder. There we are. And then we can stick our card on the top there. And there is a quick and easy, she says, once all of the pieces have been cut out, it's quite easy to put together. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you liked these ones. Do join me on Friday when we'll be doing our funky fold. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye.